When we talk about self-reliance, mental capability is very profound. And if I am to classify myself of being self-reliant, I should be able to independently think, make decisions, and make right judgments without necessarily having like external influences from people. Believe you me, there are some people who, for every single decision they make, they have to consult. Being able to mentally and soundly, rightly divide the word of truth. The script. I think some people, I'll not even catch you. Some people, human beings can be very bad.
We've seen ups and downs. I know you don't understand the things that I've said. I just to say it anyway. I never put it on the way. This means a lot to me. This means a lot to me. It's family time.
Welcome back.
Right, thank you.
Okay, so this is another episode of the Talking Drum podcast. So it has been a very, very long week. A very long week where, look at where my microphone is. Look. I don't think. Okay, so welcome one and all. We are live again on the Talking Drum podcast. So AJ, the one and only AJ herself, welcome back.
Thank you.
So how was your week? How was your weekend?
Okay.
Okay, so how stressful was it? What was your highlight? What was your highlight for the weekend?
Weekend is all about church. I mean, church activities, rehearsal, planning for the choir, have service and all that. So, I mean, yeah, it was good.
Okay, so my highlight for the weekend was my elder sister got married. So
wedding bell.
Yeah, so she got married, and the standout moment for me was, I think it was the coolest thing in the world. It was my brother doing the honors of walking her to the aisle.
Wow.
So, for my brother to represent my dad.
Wow, that's amazing.
And do that, I think at that moment when I saw my mom, the face of my mom, looking at it, she was like,
she couldn't have been more proud. Wow.
This woman is, I think, one of the people with the greatest sense of humor I know is my mom. But that moment, you see, everything just disappeared. She felt a kind of warmth in her heart. I saw it in her face, and I was like, this is the coolest moment for me. My brother doing the honors for my dad who wasn't able to be around it. I think it was the coolest moment for me. That was
your big bro.
Yeah, shout outs to Theo. I appreciate you so much, bro. I love you too. And I think we have a birthday to announce.
Oh, yeah. So we are recording today on January 20th, which is the birthday of my very good friend, Hepzibah. Hepzibah, shout outs to you.
Shout outs to Hepzibah. We really appreciate you on the Talking Drum podcast.
Right.
So the science of self-reliance, we really didn't delve into that part, in the previous episodes. I think today we should be able to give more clarity, link into, with systems and trying to analyze the science of self-reliance in order to bring clarity to you implementing systems and having systems that are in line with your goals and principles. So just just roll up the curtain for us. What can you say about that? Roll up the curtains on yourself.
Okay, so on the topic of self-reliance, I mean, generally we know self-reliance to be like being able to independently be financially stable, to be stable in terms of resources, assets, and all that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the psychology aspect of self-reliance, which is like the science behind it.
Right.
When we talk about self-reliance, mental capability is very profound. And if I am to classify myself of being self-reliant, I should be able to independently think, make decisions, and make right judgments without necessarily having like external influences from people.
Okay, so that is being able to rely on your positive intuition.
Exactly. Because believe you me, there are some people who, for every single decision they make, they have to consult.
For sure.
And it is not a classical like representation of being like reliant. So being able to mentally and soundly, rightly divide the word of truth. The scriptures keep coming, but
Of course.
being able to make sound judgments, make your own plans and decisions and stick by them, even when like people's external influences on you, it's not available.
Okay, so do you think, for me, I really believe that there is this project of everybody trying to make their opinions much more clearer in this world. So it has kind of clouded a lot of people's judgment on themselves and about themselves.
That is
so it's like, it feels every decision that I make is supposed to be passed through the lens of this measured entity or judgment or this encyclopedia. I can say that, okay, if this judgment or this kind of set laws or regulations that doesn't really align with what I think is right for my life, it's not that good. So I think it has become a very major billboard in society, if I can say that. People really don't even, it is becoming a kind of culture and slowly creeping into people's psychological processes in terms of the way they reason through things and be like, okay, what I'm thinking about, this particular person's opinion, X's opinion or Y's opinion is much more profound, it's much more better. So I always think that I have to consult. I always think I have to depend on what somebody else's think before I can actually go on to do what I want to do. That is how I see it.
Yeah.
How do you really understand it?
Yeah, that is how I also see it. And because of that, a lot of people fail to think
Exactly.
things. And it is becoming a very huge problem, especially in the youth, or let's say like the Gen Z generation.
Yeah, so
because I teach, okay, I wouldn't even want to use my students, but I've heard someone mention a situation where youth probably in college are given like very simple tasks to do, which has to involve the mind. And they will be like, let me call my mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me call my mom to make this decision. And it's something very trivial.
Yeah.
So how much more when you are faced with like very huge life obstacles? How do you do that when you don't have your cell phone to call your mom?
So I even really think that I got to a point in my own personal life, back in school, back in high school, I don't know if it was low self-esteem, even in math or for example, it could be a math exam. I know 5 plus 5 is 10. Writing that is going to save you like maybe a tenth of a second, depending on the particular time allocated for that exam. And I'll still want to punch it on the calculator.
You see, you didn't at that time trust in your judgment.
It was like, I knew it's 10, but...
it just reminded me of a story back in school. Okay. I think I was in grade 5. I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't really know the grade system.
That was class 5.
Okay, class 5.
And I was like this.
In our term, it was class 5.
Yeah. And if I'm not lying, I think I was the smartest student in the class at the time. Probably. I, myself, and there was this guy who used to challenge me a lot. Okay. But it was both of us. But like people really trusted in my judgment.
Oh, yeah.
So
look, I can't wait for you to tell this story. You told me, tell it again.
I think I mentioned.
Tell it again.
Our English tutor came to class and he wrote 2 words on the board. Cook on the left and cooker on the right.
Yeah.
And he was like, he wants to know who knows the term for someone who cooks food for people.
Yeah.
And mind you, I was like the smartest.
Yeah, so
he wanted one person to be bold enough to say what it is, whether it's cook or cooker. Like, actually, he wanted 2 people. So I raised my hand and I got someone to challenge me and also raise their hand. So I was highly confident that the term was cooker. So like the person who cooks in a restaurant or whatever is called a cooker.
Yeah.
And there was this guy who was not really he wasn't so smart.
Yeah.
But he knew his mom had told him that it was cook. So he insisted that it was cooked. But now we had two answers. And the teacher was like, okay, for the rest of the class, decide if you want to be on AJ's team, that cooker is the right answer, or you want to be on the other guy's team. The whole class.
Yeah.
Everybody came to stand
So
behind
follow
me.
who no road. They really
And I had no idea I was wrong because they didn't even trust to even think through the question.
Of course.
Once AJ knows the answer, we are going with hers. And I failed them woefully.
I'm not gonna lie. Who wouldn't have rolled with you at that time?
You know, it was so embarrassing for me.
Who am I?
So that's the thing. That's what happens when you fail to think, or when you fail to rely on your own judgments. You go following after the wind, following after.
But I'm really glad that when you told me the story. Okay, what stuck with me was that how did that boy feel when everybody was going to your side and it was like there was nobody coming to my side, and he still was resolute and say, "Okay, look, the fact that AJ is the smartest, I will still stick with what I know."
Right.
Even though it's like 100 to 1, that is the odds right now. But I'm still going to stick with what I know.
Yeah.
And not flinch.
He was so brave. And I can't even remember his name. Like, he was so brave at the time. He stuck to his, because he knew that was correct. But I mean, and I'm sure a lot of people who followed me actually knew the correct answer. But just because
it was AJ. AJ's judgment is so profound.
Exactly. But why would you do that? When you can also trust in your own brain. God gave all of us brains to think.
I don't really blame people who really are not really confident in their decisions, intuitions, and, trying to say, okay, I'm really going to stick with what I know or what I think I'm doing, no matter what everybody says or even how the whole world sees it. Sometimes it really it has deeper roots. Some it could be confidence. Some their confidence were broken from infancy. Some from the homes they came from, the mentors they had when they were young, or the standpoint or the level of achievement, or it could be a mark they had to reach up to or reach, overcome. So it's a lot. So trying to even criticize people about their state of mind and how they think, how they reason through obstacles and problems, most of the time it's not really their fault. And even when we really want to spread this on a bigger circle, religion also has its part to play. Shaping the overall mindset of people. It got to a time people had to believe that when you were rich, that means it's a curse to be rich, especially religious people. That is, for example, that means wealth will take you away from
God.
So it really had to, we really had to come to a level of deeper spiritual understanding, a psychological breakthrough for us to understand there are a lot of pros and cons that comes with you being actually self-reliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Confident.
It got to a time people had to listen or understand the thoughts of spiritual leaders in order to achieve, or in order to take decisions, or in order to understand that, okay, this is actually something I want to do. This person says one and I believe it. This person actually says two and it's right. So it stems to a lot.
Which is not to cut you short, which is not necessarily bad. That's not. Sorry for interrupting your listening, and I would like to take this time to thank you so much for subscribing to our YouTube channel. We, the team on TD Podcast, would really appreciate it if you keep on hitting the subscribe button, keep on sharing, and keep on liking our videos. This gesture will help us to go a long way to keep on bringing you exciting and educating episodes. And so we are very grateful that you're going to do this for us. And as always, thank you for your support. Now, back to the video. It is not wrong in itself to seek out for the opinion or the counsel of even religious people or older people. But where the problem is God has given you the brains, the mind to also think and implement decisions.
For sure.
And when you are able to make your own decisions, you take responsibility for whatever happens. Now, what happens when you put your faith or your trust in the opinions of others? They dictate for you, one. And secondly, when it goes bad, now you have the reason to hold people else responsible, accountable for your own faith.
Exactly. That is this. That is what the science of self-reliance talks about. It just talks about taking care of yourself. So you taking care of yourself is actually becoming very responsible and having total accountability for your actions.
Is the correct term, because if you take control of your mental capabilities, whatnot, you take also responsibility and you take accountability for whatever happens when you take that route with your own judgment.
Right. So I really want to I want us to take a look at this self-reliance and self-dependency. I think there is a subtle difference, but most of the time, both of them are kind of linked together. So self-dependency and self-reliance, because we are trying to emphasize and throw more light on the science of self-reliance. So self-dependency and self-reliance sometimes can be confused. So self-dependency is actually the over-reliance on oneself that tends to lead to isolation. So self-dependency is the over-reliance on oneself that tends and ultimately leads to self-isolation. But self-reliance is the ability to take care of oneself, you taking care of yourself and taking control of your actions and focusing your goals in order to achieve success. So you taking care of yourself being is also trying to imply that you being totally responsible for your actions and your decision making. That is self-reliance. So for example, you could be self-reliant in the aspect of you being able to fix your own cars, you being able to make sure you can put your certain space or your certain scope of life in order, that you wouldn't need or necessarily need to bother somebody or seek for somebody's candid opinion about a particular scope of life that you understand better and you are able to control and regulate better. So self-dependency and self-reliance are two different mental points or psychological aspects in terms of you channeling either of them to your goals to achieve success. So what can you really...
I, for one, like what you said when you concluded on self-dependency. So if you depend on yourself to the extent that you feel or think you don't need others, then you are pushed into isolation.
Exactly.
But when you read the scriptures, God does not want us men, human beings that He's made, to live in isolation.
Right.
He says in Psalm 68, there's a profound verse, I think verse 5 or 6.
Okay.
It says that God is the father to the fatherless. And when you continue, he says that he puts the solitary into families.
Right.
So God's original design for us is for us to not live in isolation, but to live in families, in a community. So in as much as you are reliant and you don't have to necessarily bother people for basic things and for basic ideas, it does not mean you should also isolate yourself such that you don't need people.
Exactly.
Actually, you do need people.
We actually do need everybody. So you see, that is why we are even doing this in the first place. That's why we are even trying to explain it, because self-reliance and self-dependency are two different things. There is a subtle difference in both of them. So you look at self-dependency and self-reliance. Self-dependency actually leads to distraction, isolation, because we look at isolation at a very critical angle. When you are isolated is where you are prone to attacks.
You are so prone to a lot of things when you are in isolation.
Exactly. So where a lot of negative or things, ideas that cloud your mental judgment, and that leads to even addictions, And it has been proven so much that isolation also impacts mental health on a very negative angle. So self-reliance, self-dependency, I think there are two critical points in our life that we actually need to throw more light on. So so let's focus on self-dependency.
Right.
How problematic is it for somebody who is actually, let's say, immersed or is like in a sinkhole right now that is clouded with judgments in terms of like, I'm too self-dependent. I don't really need nobody. I don't need anybody's resources. I don't need anybody's contribution. I don't need anybody's time. So for somebody like that, I don't know. People really use that kind of thing. That introversy or extroversy type of mentality, or people actually relate or associate these things to zodiac signs. I don't know how you believe in those things, but I am this. I belong to this particular type of people. I belong to this particular kind of people. So, my actions and the way I think and the way I do my things are justified, even if it's wrong. Was somebody like that listening? Okay. Do you think that person is in trouble?
I wouldn't say trouble because everything can be fixed, but I'll always relate it to the Bible again. So
Go on, do your relations.
in the Bible, we see how God Himself is the only person that is described as like being self-sufficient. And He instructs us to not over-rely on our own. So when you mention self-dependence, it's like over-reliance.
Over-reliance.
Because human beings, we are not perfect.
Right.
And the gifts of God that He's deposited in people are different. Believe you me, watch the level of understanding and what depths of knowledge you have and what gifts God has deposited in you is different from what I may have. But we complement each other in the body of Christ.
Exactly.
And all that. God instructs us to put our whole trust in Him, rely on the Holy Spirit for more counsel, even though He's given us like sound judgment and all that. So if you feel by yourself, you don't need people. First of all, you don't only need people. You need people, you need God, you need the Spirit of God to lead you. Because sometimes you may be treading on a not so good path, but you will not be able to see.
Okay.
The one behind you could see and tell you are falling into a ditch and all that. So I think that for someone who thinks he's Mr. Independent or Miss Independent should take a break and look around them. You see, there are people, I think I was watching something yesterday and the lady was like, there are friends around you who may even be having certain things that you need, certain ideas, but you have taken it carnally and you are relating with them on a familiarized basis. So you cannot even identify
what you
would need from them. And actually, you need people. There are several things that you cannot do. And I think the reason why some people are self-dependent or over-dependent of themselves is that they've not sat down to assess themselves to truly find out the weaknesses and the strength that they have.
Right.
It will humble you.
Okay, so I really think the most successful people ever are people who really didn't get there in isolation.
It is true.
They were self-reliant to be able to independently think and create, but to scale up and to design and develop, they really did. They weren't self-dependent. So it's like a science that has been in existence since the beginning of time. But is it still misunderstood? No matter how loud we can get this to be, you need a group, like a community. You need a group where you can share your ideas, where you can pick the minds of people, scale up, where you can also, post your work or anything you have, and you know that the feedback that you are going to get is positive and can be defining to either your career, your lifestyle, or the next phase of your life that you want to get to. It's it has always been um it has always been an avenue. There has always been an avenue where people always get to emphasize on that. We need communities. You should belong to a community. You should have this type or kind of people in your circle who can really push you to where you want to be at.
I think some people, I'm not even catch you. Some people, human beings can be very bad. There's this saying, "Nipa you're bad."
Oh yeah,
Some people
I think
might isolate
I think it's our nature.
because of the thing, the shege that they've seen.
Okay.
Show Pepe.
But you see, that is also that is another thing we can discuss. The fact that you have seen Godwin or Nyame, and Nyame has shown you a face of people.
A shege face.
Yeah. So I think, that experience shouldn't define the rest of any other relationship you would get to indulge in. Okay, because this is another topic on its own. It stems so deep, for what I experienced in this ex relationship. Why is bad?
How people are pushed into isolation. Oh,
I'm telling you, exactly. And I think if you are somebody watching us and that is your story, and you think there is actually not much light thrown on that particular discussion in terms of what people actually do, that really turn you to cut yourself from people, to really isolate yourself, to really tend to be like, okay, now I don't even have an iota of feeling.
I walk alone like that.
Yeah.
When it's likely you die.
Yeah, you are liable to fail. So I really, really think there should be a moment where you have to redefine your purpose, redefine your thinking, and see that, one person cannot define your entire thought process about a whole race. There is an actual generalization about people being like, okay, I encountered you, so the experience I have is what I would use to define everybody. And that is so bad. And that is, something I really think has really stuck with a lot of people, even growing up. And it's like a trauma people have not fully recovered from. So when we really, really talk deep into it, you see a lot of wounds reopening that have not actually healed. And it's something that I hope everybody, as time goes on, will get the chance and get the opportunity to actually heal, recover, and grow, and, find purpose in community, and actually being open, being dependent on others, the right people who would, lead you to where you actually want to be at. So I really think people would really have the opportunity to rediscover and redefine themselves.
Right. Finally, we've come to the end of another episode on the Talking Drum podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Actually, I was blessed by this episode. It was very educative and informative. I hope you enjoyed it. I also want to entreat you to keep on liking our videos, keep on sharing, keep on subscribing, tell people to tell other people, and share the link.
Yes, share the link to others. I think you sharing this video, most importantly, not on the basis of you even supporting, but also spreading the message is very, very important. So would encourage everyone listening or who has the chance to see, watch, and learn from this video to share it. And I think you and I will be a blessing to others, and together we will be the voices that empower.